I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
What? Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have said persiflage. That sounds so full of myself, trying to sound smart. But I got to admit, I got to confess, sometimes I do that. I will use big words that I really don't know the meaning of, so I can sound more photosynthesis. It happens. It's a temptation. Very nice to have you with me here. I will try to speak in monosyllabic words as much as I can. Well, monosyllabic's not even a singular syllable word. Program here is pretty easy to be a part of. Not much to it. First step, 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call if, for several reasons. One, yes, situation, circumstance, something that is perplexing you, befuddling you, flummoxing you, another one of those words of flinging around there, that you might just want to bounce it off of me, clinical psychologist, who will not diagnose you, will not do therapy with you, but educate a little bit, talk about your options, what things you could consider, or call in to help somebody else out. Now, typically, we have to have a caller first so somebody can help them out. Every once in a while, somebody calls in and says, you had a caller in 2011. I remember it was on a Tuesday afternoon, and I just wanted to comment on that. You remember that, Dr. Ray? I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Or sometimes people want to know a generic answer. Something like, what is the culture doing to our 5-year-olds? Is it harder to be innocent now than in your mother's day? Just all kinds of things like that. So, give you the number. You will run smack into Eric Dumont, who is called Screaming. Andrew Kruchek is the man in... Can I say man? I'm gonna gender assume. Never thought I'd get in trouble. Is the man on the boards. Kind of sounds like a basketball game, doesn't it? Who is monitoring the flashing lights, the beeping lights. They go in an order. Sometimes they go out of order. 877-573-7825. Our entertainment radically shifts the way we think about just about everything. 2 abouts in that sentence. The common ones are guys are buffoons. They're doofuses. You never see a commercial. You never see something where the guy is competent and he can help the woman who is less competent. No, that is not allowed. That is breaking the gender law. Or the ones I really chuckle are the cop shows where the women in high heels, 5'6", 128 pounds, chase after the perp with the male detective or the male police officer 6, 8, 10 steps behind, trying to keep up as she grabs him, throws him to the ground, and in 4 seconds has his hands behind his back, handcuffed, and he gets there a few seconds later. Yeah. Hollywood has its ideas the way we are supposed to be. There was a show, I truly enjoyed the show. It was called The Middle, about a family in Indiana, the day-to-day travails of this family, the standard life of an American middle-class family. He worked at the quarry She had a number of jobs, struggling through selling cars and then as a dental hygienist. They had 3 children. And, of course, the remarks about the 3 children from other people were, wow, you got your hands full. 3 kids, can't imagine it. That was a steady amount of remarks. So, therefore, once again, telling you how you're supposed to view normal life. The kids were all exaggerated forms of everyday kids. Brick, the youngest one, was this savant who was just absolutely brilliant, even though socially he was very immature and he had some developmental disabilities. Axel was the most obnoxious of the 3. For much of the show, he was a teenager. And he was surly. He oftentimes argued, gave ugly responses to his parents, whereupon they just kind of shrugged their shoulders, never did anything about it. I never saw Axel ever get discipline for his mouth, ever. And the implication was, come on, Dr. Ray, they're not going to discipline on a comedy show. I got that part. But the implication was, this is what teenagers are. This is how they act. This is their moodiness. This is their chronic lack of disrespect. And Axel was kind of cruel to his siblings, too. Not so much Brick. Brick was kind of... Axel had a soft spot for Brick. But Sue, his younger sister, he just was rough on her. Now, every so often they showed a soft side of Axel because they wanted to not make him be totally a jerk. But nevertheless, his persona was that of an unpleasant, surly, difficult, argumentative, disrespectful teenager. Now, I have no doubt that the writers of that program pretty much occupied the stereotypical character life. Everybody knows that's what teenagers are, don't we? They're all just like that. They're not all just like that. And neither do they have to all be like that. I've noticed something. Anecdotal observations on my part. But I would like to see somebody do some kind of more particular survey on this. Homeschooled teenagers, by and large, as a group, are probably not as difficult, argumentative, challenging, surly, moody, as their public-private school educated counterparts. Now, this is not necessarily a slam against private education, public education. It's just simply that. The point I'm making is that it is not automatic that because you hit 14, you act a certain way until you're 19. I cannot imagine a farmer. Those of you, for example, in Iowa, you know who you are. Downstate Illinois, rural Ohio, southern Wisconsin, a farmer, 100 years ago, talking to his friends. My boy, he turned 14, one of them teenagers now. He was nice up to this point, but I'm not going to get any help out of him now. He hardly wants to do anything. Very uncooperative. I got to push on him to get him to do anything around here. The other farmer saying, yeah, that's the way they are at this age. That's just the way they are. You think that? I think that farmer was ecstatic that his boy was 14. He was indefatigable. He was becoming a young man. He was strong. He could go forever. He was excited that this young man was getting older. He wasn't worried about his disrespectful attitude or demanding more freedoms or wanting a smartphone. Oh, come on, Dr. Ray. Come on, Dr. Ray. You're sounding like my great-grandpa. It's not my point. My point is that much of this stereotypical image of the surly, difficult teenager is not so much developmental. It's cultural. And characters like Axel bespeak of that cultural stereotype. You just kind of got to live with it until they become human again. And you could see that in the attitude of his parents. They sort of just shrugged their shoulders like, that's Axel. Do they outgrow it? Yeah, some. In the meantime, there's a lot of ugliness going on in family life. And some of them don't outgrow it. Some of them just become more obnoxious as they get older because they've learned the habits. I guess what I'm saying is, just because it might be culturally typical for a 15-year-old to act more difficult than they used to act, doesn't mean it's good. And it doesn't mean it's going to just go away because they're going to add 4 more years to their age. Watch out for these misguided, at the very least, and ugly, at the worst, stereotypes that the entertainment medium is just delighted to throw at you, because we all know that's just the way it is. 877-573-7825. 877-573-7825. Dr. Ray.
Come enjoy one of Shakespeare's earliest comedies, performed by the Campion Players of St. Augustine's Classical Homeschool Enrichment Program. Love Labor's Lost will be performed at the Lydia Mendelsohn Theater on the campus of the University of Michigan, May 15th through the 17th. Come enjoy watching 4 young and loving couples court, but not quite manage to achieve a happy ending. Great prices for tickets at the door and discounts for large families too. Love Labor's Lost, May 15th through the 17th.
The Heart of the Interior Life with Elizabeth Jingle.
In the 10th rule of his 14 rules for the discernment of spirits, St. Ignatius of Loyola writes, "Let the one who is in consolation think how he will conduct himself in the desolation which will come after, taking new strength for that time." How do we take new strength during spiritual consolation? Father Jules Toner recommends prayer of petition for strength in future spiritual desolation, meditation on truths that will sustain in spiritual desolation, consideration of the value of spiritual desolation for growth, reflection on past personal growth through spiritual desolation, and resolution to make no changes in time of spiritual desolation. Father Timothy Gallagher recommends review of the 14 rules for the discernment of spirits and planning for specific situations of spiritual desolation.
For more information, visit AveMariaRadio.net.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
That They May Be One, a docudrama featuring Cardinal Raniero Cantalamessa, Dr. Mary Healy, and Francis Chen, exploring how the Holy Spirit has been working across generations and denominations to answer the prayer of Jesus.
Church is meant to look like the church of the Acts of the Apostles. And if you read Acts, you see just how far we are.
In theaters May 19th and 20th. More information at thattheymay-be-one-film.com.
The sound, the unmistakable sound of a Hammond B3. This is Dr. Ray Guarendi. Thank you for joining me here. I'm going to go to a gentleman that, if you take away the comma, see, typically we have the first name and then we have the city, comma, then the city. But if you take away the comma, it could be a name of a PI on TV. Mark Fargo, PI. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Dr. Ray, I love your humor. I love your wisdom more, however. Okay, but I have a serious question. I was, quote, married, not really because of the declaration of nullity, but I have 6 beautiful children. 5 of them are adults. One of them is thousands of miles away. I would like to get married because I am lonely. However, the woman with whom I am dating, or the woman that I am dating, is is one of our separated sisters in Christ, i.e., Protestant. And based on your decades of generation counseling, etc., study, What words do you have for me? Because I would really, it's not good for man to be alone, I heard somewhere. I would like to get married. And secondly, St. Paul gave some personal advice. It's not the church's teaching, but he said he thinks it's good for widows to stay single. And in a sense, I am a widow. So can you please guide me?
How serious is she, Mark, about her faith, and how does she look at your embracing of the Catholic faith?
Thank you. She grew up in a, I guess, semi-devout Lutheran family. She had a bad experience in whatever their Sunday catechesis is, where the other children ignored her. And unfortunately, that pushed her away from a relationship with God. She has great respect for me and my faith, and she's told me that I am helping her get closer to God. And we've been chaste, thank God. And now let's see, what was your other question? You asked me how serious is she about her faith? Oh, and what does she think about mine? Yeah, I think I answered those. Did I?
Yeah. Now, the question is this. If you gave it more time, and she knew that you were giving it more time because it was ultimately at the very core of who you are, your Catholic faith, would she say, I'm curious, I want to learn more about it? I want to very much be with you, Mark, and I don't want us to be on different planes religiously, so I am very open to learning about the Catholic faith.
That's a great question, and I think she is open to that, and I think I should directly ask her that question. I've only known her a month. However, we got to go to a beautiful relationship retreat over the weekend, and it was very helpful. So, yeah, I'm going to ask her. I'm going to say, her name. Are you open, or would you think at some point or now, would you like to learn more about the Catholic faith? Because that's part of my identity as Mark. Well, it's not part of, it's part of my, it's
very central. It's very central to your identity.
Yeah, it's the bullseye, Dr. Ray.
It might be, if you think about this, Mark, though, would it be too early? You've only known her a month. Maybe give it another little bit of time before because she can get a chance to say, I really, really like this guy. This guy is somebody that I'd like to be with. And then as she comes to realize, I would like to be with you too, but for me, it's so important. It's so important that I can share the deepest parts of who I am with somebody who understands. Now, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. When I got married with my wife, she was not Catholic. I was Catholic. We got married in the church. But she was open to it. She wasn't anti-Catholic. So over time, she became a better Catholic by far than I am. And I tell her that. I said, I'd like to think, honey, your conversion to the faith was because of my witness. And she said, no, Ray, that just slowed it down. Whatever. Okay. So given that, I think at this point, I think you got to read two things here, Mark. One,
okay,
how much is she growing to care for you? That's the big one. And two, is she open to really honestly, not because, okay, Mark wants me to look at the Catholic faith, I will because I really like Mark. A little more than that. To honestly look at it and say, I've had a bad experience with religion. I got burned. It was a long time ago, and I'm really willing to listen to Mark and why he thinks this Catholic faith is so important to his existence.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. That sounds very wise. With number one, she has great admiration for me, and she said she's very grateful to God and to me that I'm in her life, and she was very sick for a day because of a health issue, and I was off work, and I spent the day with her, and it was very beautiful because I said, this was kind of beautiful. I'll just call her Maureen. Because, the vow for better or for worse in sickness and in health. So she knows that I will be with her in sickness and in health because I spent a whole day with her. And she said she would do the same for me. So, she does. She's attracted to me. There's the chemistry and there is the intellectual part. And so we do, I guess we're evenly yoked concerning the emotions and mental ability. Yeah, and I'm in no rush because I'm not going to rush. I never, the most horrible thing I went through as a boy was the separation, divorce, and annulment of my parents. And it was just like a catastrophe. It was like being hit in the face a second time by a 2x4 when I went through that, with the mother of my 6 beautiful children. And I don't want to go into a relationship where it's going to be another, another hit in the head, by a piece of wood. So I don't want to rush it. I'll take it slowly. And do you have any parting words? And what did you think about that, about St. Paul's private opinion?
Well, I think that might be part of the reason why when I was approached back when the kids were all little to be a deacon, we weren't, in our diocese, if your wife passed away, you couldn't remarry. Okay, and I thought, whoa, that's scary. I had 10 kids under 12. I was a little nervous about that. Plus, no woman was going to want to marry me anyway. So how are you? Oh, yeah, I got to get going. I got my 10 kids there I got to take care of. Yeah, that would be a deal breaker. Anyway, parting wisdom is this. A lot of it comes down to her wisdom and maturity in her personality and how she is open to looking at the deepest questions of life. That's big. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Take good care, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ray.
All righty. Mark Fargo, P.I. Great. Sounds great. Okay. Margaret from Seattle said she saw something the other day in the grocery store that reminded her of me. Oh, it's probably one of those strength things that you can buy there. That's probably what it was. Yeah, probably what it was. She said, it tied into my monologue. Okay, Margaret, how so?
Well, this was actually something that happened a few years ago. I was in the grocery store and was just going to buy some Band-Aids, and alongside of me were a man and his son who was maybe 14 years old, and the father kept saying, well, how about this one? No, and the kid was whining. And so I selected my bandages and my Band-Aids and went off and did my shopping and came back. There's something else I wanted in that department. So I came back with a cart full of groceries. That man and that boy were still there. The kid was still whining, and the father was still bleating. I couldn't believe it.
Good word, bleeding. Ooh, good word.
And I was thinking about what you were mentioning, farm kids. My dad and my 4 uncles, they had their farm chores to do before the school bus came to pick them up.
What you're tapping into, Margaret, is the idea that we are indulging kids at an excessive level, and this makes them very, very tough to deal with as they get older, as they attempt to be reliable and responsible on a job. And I oftentimes have said, when you spoil a kid for years, he may not get into drugs and alcohol or problems with the law, but I don't think I'd want to be married to that person. That's what I've often said. Yeah, I don't know what it is about these parents just doing backflips. I know my wife would have said, do you want this? No. Okay, that's it. My last offer. Margaret, thank you, dear. 877-573-7825. The time goes so fast. It really does. Einstein said, time is relative. Or relatives take the time. Dr. Ray. A woman wrote me. She said, I am pregnant. When will my baby move? Well, any luck, right after he graduates from college or gets a job. I think that's what the main thing here. Gary calling from Buffalo, New York. I've just last week had a chance to be 5 days with the Station of the Cross folks in Buffalo. Had a great time with Joe and Alex and Jake. So let's see what we got here. Gary, how are you, sir?
Very good, Dr. Ray. I was a volunteer in the Stations of the Cross office and got my fill of Dr. Ray for 3 hours on 2 different days while I was doing that. So
you sound smarter.
Exciting.
You sound smarter. You didn't used to sound that smart.
That's right.
They call me the Raleigh Killer. You know, they get me on board here for these pledge drives, and everything's gone great. And then I'm the guy that comes up with the bases loaded and 1 out and pops up to the infield. That's what happens.
You did great.
Thanks, Gary. So you're experiencing, let me give you a couple stats here before you go into your situation. Under 35, more people are living together than are married. Under 35, more people are having children out of wedlock than in wedlock. And under 35, there are the highest proportion of single people now than since we've been keeping tabs. And under 35, the percentage of married people basically dodging having children is probably at its highest, too. So all that said, how's that tie into your situation?
Yeah, well, my two, a boy and a girl, are in their upper 30s, and they're both married, both in the Catholic Church. And my kids were brought up as bad Catholics. They went to Catholic high school, and we went to church, but we didn't pray at home or anything like that. And their spouses are even more separated as Catholics. And in my family, we get married and we have Catholic sacraments, but we don't really practice too well. But I came on board 10 years ago, and there's one grandchild who just turned 4 last week, and he's fantastic. But I'm concerned about them in their upper 30s, especially the one couple who makes a lot of money together, and they are not having children. They're upper 30s, so it's kind of affecting me, my wife says, in the last 2 years. Usually I don't have an anxiety problem or get affected by things. I'm pretty easygoing, but now I have trouble sleeping here and there because of this. I want them to have children and have families, not only for us. I think they'll be disillusioned when they're older, but my wife doesn't really want me to say too much. Although I can say things about the faith, and my kids will listen, and their spouses, they kind of just blow it off, but it's there. But the Holy Spirit, as you would say, just hasn't come to them yet. But that's like a game going on there. Maybe the Holy Spirit comes to them when they're 50. In the meantime, the clock runs out on them having a family. And I think they'll be disillusioned when they're older, and I'm disillusioned now. And how much can I say? I did say something one time, and my daughter went home and cried. My son listens to me, but he blows me off. So just how should I handle this?
You ain't the dad that raised them. You're not the dad that raised them. The dad that raised them was more hands-off religious-wise, right?
Yes.
So old dad is now volunteering at the Catholic radio station. What happened to my dad? See, they 5 years ago would have not been all that distressed by the fact that you would like them to welcome children because you didn't think that much about it. Well, now you do. And given that they're 39, especially if one of your daughter's 39, she's thinking, hey, this is a much more risky pregnancy if I'd get pregnant. You have one grandchild between the two of them?
Yes, the 39-year-old has a 4-year-old, and when I mentioned something, they said, I don't really know the story. My wife says, you don't know the whole story. You shouldn't say anything, like if there's something medical now, maybe after that one. And so I don't know. I feel like I can say things, and it should be more of an open conversation. I'm their parents we do have open conversations. Why can't they share with what's going on? They could tell me, well, there's a medical issue. I'm not going to have any more children. Then I could sleep at night. I don't know.
Well, I think rather than you telling them how important it is to have children, they know how you think, Gary. You're not going to shock them by saying, I think it's really important that you welcome children. I think you probably would best introduce the subject, something like, what is it for you that you've decided that the children are not going to be a part of your marriage? Let them explain it. You don't have to be specific. You don't have to be, so what's holding you back here? You got a medical problem? One of the spouses doesn't want any kids? You want to make more money? What is it here? No, I wouldn't approach it that way. I'd leave it wide open. Have you thought about having children? Have you thought about having more kids? What's your thinking on that? Just kind of try to decide why they're at where they're at. Now, my guess, Gary, is this: they've decided they don't want any more. The daughter with one doesn't want any more, and then the son doesn't want any, and they've decided, yeah. You got to figure they're contracepting, probably. I mean, you can't assume it, but probably. So given that, they don't see anything wrong with that at all. And maybe they're like an awful lot of Catholics now, which is I'm Catholic, but on my terms. So at this point, I personally wouldn't strain the relationship. I really wouldn't. And the fact that it bothers you so much that you're having actual panic attacks or actual anxiety, what is it that is eating at you so badly?
Yeah, it's hard to say. The enjoyment that I had with the one grandchild, the fact that when you come into the Christian Catholic faith, the idea of being fruitful and multiplying, and then the big families you see in church, and you just think that's a better way to go. You think
well, it is
better.
It is. The problem is you can't control them. If they decide not to go that way, you can't do anything about it. And the reason it's eating you up is because you want to fix it. You want to make it better, and you haven't really accepted that you can't if they don't want to.
Okay. Yes.
That's what it is, my friend. So much of living at peace is accepting that you can't change situations as much as you'd like to. God bless you, Gary. But ask them. Find out if you want. Say, hey, I'm curious. What made you decide that children are not going to be part of your married life? You could ask them that way. If you got a decent relationship with them, they won't get mad. 877-573-7825. 877-57 is the number to call. We got open line, so got time. Come on in. Read a fascinating article, a recent issue of First Things, talking about the birth dearth. And kind of amazing how people who are so smart about predicting the future, and they were all in the population panic phase in recent decades. We're just going to have too many people. We're going to just bury ourselves in people. We're going to start fighting over food. You got to stop this. And they never anticipated that the very majority of countries now, and it's heading toward all countries, are not replacing themselves, such that in a matter of decades we will top out population and start to decline. Some countries are already declining, and there's too many options. There's too many other things to do. as people see it with your life. And I would expect that's part of Gary's family situation. They've decided, no, I want a career. No, I like it this way. No, we can travel. No, we don't have to worry about raising kids. No, I'm pursuing autonomy, whatever it is. So given that, nobody anticipated, with the development of countries, with more and more countries becoming materially well off, that kids are, they're one option, but for many, they're not in the top 5 options. And even though countries have tried to reverse with certain kind of laws, it's only been tinkering around the edges, because until there is a serious rethinking of welcoming children, this will continue. This will continue with massive economic, social ramifications for whole countries. Okay. All right. Oh, is that right now? Annabelle from Houston, Texas is piggybacking on what just came up here. Hi, Annabelle.
Hi, Dr. Ray.
Oh, they probably said, get to know each other a little bit, get your feet solid on the ground, make sure you're in financial shape. Let's get it all set up there, right?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm on my phone, so I had to turn my radio down.
Well, basically, you said one of your nephews and his fiancée were encouraged by their parents not to have kids right away.
Yes, that's correct. I just found that out recently, and both of these people are approaching 30. And my nephew's brother, my other nephew, he recently got married, and they're devout Catholics, and they want to have children, as the Lord permits. But his brother said, "Oh, wow, you really want to have kids?"
Ooh,
well, I don't want to have.
Don't you know they stink and stuff?
Well, and anyway, so the two brothers had a little conversation about that, and so I'm hearing from my married nephew what his brother's response was, and basically the mom and dad have had some covert marital troubles, and so the dad is actually telling his grown son, you don't want to have children, it's going to ruin your marriage. Mm-hmm. And my nephew that's married, he and his wife don't believe that, but now we're looking at the other one who's engaged, and we're thinking, wow, can we help him change his mindset? And the answer is we don't know.
It depends how much he's willing to listen to you. Obviously, you can make the point that his dad is speaking from his own personal experience, which is not necessarily a good guide to their experience in that sense.
Right, exactly. And then I also wanted to kind of dovetail off what your last speaker said, the father that didn't know whether or not some of the childlessness issues among his own kids may or may not have to do with medical problems. And I would just like to say that I'm a woman now in my early 60s, and I found out in my early 30s that I have a problem which prevented me from ever conceiving children. So I've spent my life as a childless woman. And I want to just urge anyone who wants to inquire about why someone does not have children, please tread carefully, because you never know what medical problems that person may have. And infertility is a very harsh issue, and it took me 10 full years of grieving to really accept it. And then once I did, mostly I got over it, but there's still times when it comes back to haunt me. And like I said, I'm in my 60s now. And infertility is very painful, and I've had to field so many idiotic questions over the years about, well, why don't you have children? And I just have learned how to politely and tactfully steer people off that conversation. In reality, it's really nobody's business. Yeah. But I would like to urge people, please tread carefully, because that's a very painful topic for people who truly do have an infertility problem.
Well, I'll take it a step further here, Annabelle. I have had moms tell me that they very much are trying to conceive, and over the course of 10, 15, 20 years of marriage, they were able to successfully conceive to birth one child. And they get a message of, well, depending upon whatever group they're in that they're not really faithfully Catholic, because obviously they didn't welcome the children that God wanted to give them, and I've had them tell me that hurts because they don't know how badly I wanted children. I would give you a quick soundbite. Quick soundbite here, Annabelle. And that is when they ask you, should you decide to even give them an answer, you can say, I very much wanted children. It didn't happen. And that's all you got to tell them.
Yeah. That's really what I tell people. I just say it wasn't God's will for me. And now I'm widowed, so what difference does it make? So, anyway, that's really all I wanted to say about that.
Well, my wife and I couldn't conceive at all, so I went out and bought a whole bunch of them, I did.
Well, if my husband had lived, if my husband had lived, we would have probably adopted or fostered at the very least, but God took him away from me too, so I've just had to really allow God's grace and peace to really infiltrate my life.
Yeah, Rose, people like you are my heroes. You know that?
Oh, well, God bless you. I thank you for your ministry.
You stand strong and get knocked all over the place by life, and yet you're still faithful.
Amen to that.
Heroic. And when God willing, when you get to heaven, you're going to see how much he gave you just in letting you know what you know. Nice job, Rose. I'll talk to you, okay? Call me later.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Ray, let's see. I got some calls up there, so I want to get to both of you. But I better take a break because Andrew will nag me. Do you realize you have a break? Do you know this? Dr. Roy?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's game time in Jackson, Michigan. Friday, May 8th at 6 p.m., it's Priests versus Seminarians at Lumen Christi High. The Diocese of Lansing's Men in Black take on Sacred Heart Seminarians, all to benefit St. Joseph's Shrine in Brooklyn, Michigan, and its outdoor Stations of the Cross. Get ready for some collar commentary with Father Tim McDonald and Father Joe Krupp. Grab your tickets now at AveMariaRadio.net/events. It's a slam dunk.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Do you feel as though life is flying past you? Are you desperate for a way to find moments of peace and quiet? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian prayer series, will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
Brought to you by the nonprofit Seton Home Study.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Ray Guarendi here. You want to pass the Catholic faith on to your children? A very good way is to teach your children at home. You want to protect your kids from the toxic culture that surrounds us? Do you want to have a greater influence than what your kids are learning? Once more, a great way is to teach your children at home. No teacher is going to care about your kids as much as you do. Seton Home Study School is the best way to teach your children at home. Go to setonhome.org. setonhome.org. All right, let's go to Rose from Buffalo. Rose, I'll tell you, I have the answer to you right now. I'm highly trained professional. I know the ins and outs of these kinds of personal relationships, and I am particularly trained with how to respond to people who are criticizing you because you want to make a decision that you think is good for your family. Now, Rose, you said here how to respond to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got it. You want to write this down?
Okay.
I mean, okay, so it's not going to be that hard.
Sure.
Okay. So they're criticizing you. They're saying, I don't want you to homeschool. Homeschooling is bad. It's bad for your kids, bad for you. Can't do it, etc. You ready, Rose?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is why I am the professional.
Yes.
You look at them and you say, so, there you go. There you go. This is your decision. This is your decision, Rose. You don't have to have their approval. If you think this is best for you and your kids.
I don't even know if it's their approval. I mean, I've homeschooled. I told the screener that I homeschooled up until this year, and then I felt a lot of pressure around me to put them in school. So then I'm like, okay.
Who pressured you? I want to know who pressured you. I want names. I want numbers.
My family.
I want Social Security numbers. So
no, I know.
Did your husband pressure you?
No. He usually just says whatever I feel is best.
Well, that's the one you have to wonder about. That's the one you got to really be concerned about. Outside of that, who cares what they think? They don't know what they're talking about because they give you all kinds of objections that have not been supported at all by reality and research. They have not. Homeschool kids are more likely to be accepted at colleges. They score higher on achievement tests. Research says they have better self-images. They are more socially confident across a whole age spectrum. So they do very, very well compared to their regular schooled counterparts. So all of these,
I agree with all of that.
All these cliche objections. You, Rose, you want them. You want them to approve of you as a mother. That's the crux of this.
I think that's the problem. So how do I stop? Like, how do I get confident in myself? Because I did the research. I know why I homeschool. I'm very confident usually in why I'm homeschooling. But then if I hear something from a family member that I'm like, even, the school that they're at right now, they all, like, the second they found out they weren't coming back next year, oh, but they were doing so well here. They've grown so much. I'm like,
once they've gotten outside of your control, they're just blossoming, Rose. You're stunting their life.
Well, then I'm like, oh my gosh, like if they weren't that bad, I don't understand. They were fine.
So you yielded.
I'm like, am I really that awful?
Yeah, you're a wussy, Rose. You yielded.
Apparently, and I don't know how to teach them. I don't have a degree. I don't know how to teach them.
All the cliches. All the cliches.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't want to say...
But they were doing really fine. I was struggling, and I felt pressured, so I put them in school, and they have been fine.
All right, here is what you give them if you don't want to just use so, okay? There's two other ones I'm going to give you. Okay. One, you can say, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you, no reverses. You can say that. That's one.
Okay.
Or you can say this. You can say, homeschooling was beautiful for us, and I gave it up because of pressure, and I don't want to do that again. Ha! There you go.
It's true.
It's true. Of course it's true.
That is why.
Yeah.
I miss them. And they miss me. They ask every week to be homeschooled again.
Well, we had 10 kids at home, all under 12. My wife said I wouldn't have had the relationship that I have with my kids if they weren't at home with me and I could teach them. And here's the other two things. My two oldest kids, who were not drug and alcohol exposed, they both got 36s on their ACTs. So, it's like, don't tell me this doesn't work. My one daughter went to college when she was 15. So they could go at their own pace. They could learn quickly. My son, when he went to college, said to his mother, Mom, college is easier than you.
And I use Seton. I just heard the commercial
Seton's tough.
for Seton before
Seton
I
is
came
tough.
On. And my kids are very good at it too. The stuff they're learning in school this year. I looked at my son's Seton book. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're behind.
Yep, I know.
I'm going to have to do it all summer. I'm going to have to work through the book before we even start the next grade level.
Rose, how can you be confident? You say to yourself, these are my children. These are my decisions. I'm knowing what I'm doing, and this is the move I want to make. And if others don't approve, think about this. How in heaven's name, prior to the advent of general education, did kids get socialized? Prior to 150, 200 years ago. Yeah, they got socialized by their parents. They got socialized by their siblings. They got socialized by the church. They got socialized by their close circle. That's how they got socialized. They didn't get socialized by 19 other third graders.
Right. Another reason why I homeschooled.
Yeah, well, it will keep them innocent. That's one thing I can guarantee. It will keep them innocent longer. That's a given. There's no question about that, whether I'm a homeschool advocate or I'm not. It will keep them innocent longer because they will not go to school with a bunch of kids who are being raised very differently and who will teach them things you don't want them to teach and know at age 9.
Yes.
There you go.
That's
so
true.
I'm hoping.
You're right.
I embellished my soul a little bit. And Rose,
well,
Rose, I want to say, I'm going to close with this, sweetheart. If you don't want to listen to me, you know what my response to you is? So. Bye. I'll talk to you. Julie, you call back because you'll be first up. That's an interesting question, and I have no idea. So maybe Andrew can research it for me. This is Dr. Ray. Always a delight to be with you, but I got to go. Thank you so much for keeping me company. Walk with God. The eternal walk.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.